But look, when I said it was a good week, I meant it. Our matches were absolutely ridiculous, and this week we still have our fair share of heavy-hitting matchups. Don't get me wrong. I think it was going to be hard to top the sheer amount that we had, but you know what? The kind of weekly basis of Pro League, you're always going to get wonderful matchups, and even down to our first one of the day, Zeneku versus Maxter, a great opportunity to see who's kind of weighing up versus who. Maxter looking incredible last week, and Zeneku looking incredible, basically, Harry, all season long.
Yeah, he's been looking fantastic. Last week, you was blessed with some incredible matches last week. Some of them, just an absolute understatement. But we've got some great matches this week. Also, some slobber knockers here and there. Some we could turn the tide in terms of the leaderboard and the rankings. And looking at the leaderboard at the moment, and looking at see what the matches are coming up today. ZenAku versus Maxter. We know ZenAku's been playing very well. Probably the best stage he's ever played throughout the Quake Pro League, and Maxter still be getting better and better each and every time. And look at the Hang versus Chain, the battle for the top three. Benga versus Base, 2 stars to the opposite end of the spectrum, and Cooler versus Avic. Again, we're blessed once more with another great week of games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially Wenger, I think we're feeling pretty good going into this week. Wenger and Base is quite a rivalry across all of Quake Pro League. You always know that they're going to have incredible matches, and they tend to deliver every single time. Shock horror. But that does bring us on now to match 1. Zeneku versus Maxter. So Maxter is a player that we've been seeing looking, we've talked about him constantly, and I think that the term is often used that he kind of went right into Pro League looking very comfortable. I know he got a bit of an equipment upgrade, which was great. How anyone can play that level on not perfect hardware is incredible in itself. Anyone that's ever been in that position knows that it's no easy task. But as we now go into this specific matchup, I find it a really interesting way to start the day, Lethal, because we have Zeneku, who has just ascended, you know what I mean? He went from a player that took an entire season to find his feet to now he's well in there, he's comfortable, and he's playing out of his mind, versus Maxter, who was more comfortable early, but hasn't quite had the same kind of ascension that Zeneku has had. So
yeah, completely agree. With ZenAku overall as a player, I remember speaking to him a few months ago, and he was saying, do you know what? I'm still trying to find his style. Some of his decision making, he's a bit unsure of. He's not really too sure when he should be, overextend or be counteractive. There's a lot of little things here and there which he just couldn't really rectify and fix. And he knew it took a little more game time, a bit more grinding in order to try and find his footing, like you said before. But now I feel like this stage, like I said earlier, it is probably the best stage he has ever played since starting out in the Quake Pro League. But then again, same with Maxter, he's improved day in, day out. It's becoming a little bit less predictable each and every time. His aim is just ridiculous. He is literally one of the biggest aim stars in the Americas region. And with these two loggerheads going at it, it should be a great way to start off the day.
Let's talk about the picks and bans. Let's figure out what the journey will be as we start off in the Molten Falls with the Ranger versus Strog. Exile. Always love seeing Exile in play. It's such a tricky little map with the Sorlag and Doomslayer. And then we finish up on the Deep Embrace with the Death Knight actually being taken away. So that's actually interesting. It's been a long time since I've even seen Death Knight's icon in picks and bans that aren't in the finals. And it'll be Keel versus Scalebearer. So the battle of the big bodies.
Yeah, I would say for ZenAku, he's the one who won the map picks just overall. He's got Molten Falls, one of his best maps. We've seen him actually beat Rafa by 1 frag the last time those two met on Molten Falls. They both like Exile anyway, so I'm not surprised that's the second map. Maxter selected that anyway. He feels quite comfortable in that map. We've seen him day in, day out actually be able to excel from beyond belief. And Deep Embrace, pretty standard. The difference is we do have the kill for Maxter, so when he does try and go for the heavy, he can get there early and throw those pineapples out to keep his opponent at bay. Scalebearer, of course, we know it's Wheat's favourite, will be played with ZenAku. But yeah, a lot of heavy-hitting champions. ZenAku does favour those heavy-hitting champions anyway, so not really too much of a surprise there. But in terms of map picks, Morton favours ZenAku, but champion picks, Maxter probably has a slight edge, especially with that third and final map.
So I think this is normally the time that we talk about predictions. I'm always going to be curious over what the chat thinks, because I know that there's a considerable amount of fans either side, and I think there's a lot of regional pride too with these kind of players. But also, I feel like the 2-1 is a safe bet here, but I kind of just think if we're going by just previous weeks and weeks, Zeneku, he's riding so much momentum. I would be surprised if that momentum would kind of get stopped slightly here. So I strongly believe that the 2-1 for Zeneku could be the result that we see here, but I'm curious as to what you think.
Well, ZenAku, over the last couple of months, he's become more of a reactionary player. He's decided to react only when he sees fit, when he's got some kind of advantage. Just that counter-aggression, which he so desperately needed over the last year, and he's finally found his footing with it. Now, the problem is now is the fact that Maxter is the kind of player where he won't give you the opportunity or that kind of chance to, react to certain things he does. He will try and get any kind of flank around you if possible, and if you're given any kind of advantage, then he will try and push up on that. But to be a reactionary player, it's very difficult against someone like, a Nosfer or a Maxter, even against a Rafa, because he leaves little room for error. So I'll probably say ZenAku 2-1. He may drop Exile, even though I said for Maxter it is one of his best maps. ZenAku's also very good on Exile, so it's going to be very difficult to see which one will take that map. But ZenAku, I reckon, will just barely edge it. When I say barely, I mean by the skin of their teeth.
There's also the champion matchup, the Sorlag versus the Doomslayer on that map too. And Exile, it's such a close quarters map. It's not a tiny map by any means, but it's a very tricky map. Lots of different hallways, little nooks and crannies that Sorlag has historically kind of been pretty assertive on as well, because she's got the stack, she's got the movement. She can just come flying around one corner or one teleporter and then bam, she's got all this health and armor to work with. She's got acid spit, she probably has a rocket or something, and it's like, where did my stack go? But now we're going into our first map. We're loading into Molten Falls already, and thank you all for joining us. To remind everyone, our latest edition here of the Quake Pro League, where we're about to start our first series of the day, and this is just an appetizer for what's to come. There's plenty of good matches lined up, and now we're loading in. The warm-up will be coming to a close, and Molten Falls will begin.
Yeah, you would think that ZenAku should take map number 1, considering how much he's excelled on this first map of Molten Falls, considering he's being Rafa, he's defeated a couple of other opponents. But Maxter, we'll have to see. It could be a little bit too much for him because it's very hard to react in certain ways. But we'll see as we will head into map number 1. First series of the day, starting with ZenAku's POV.
And we will start with the patient beginning. The center of this map, so good for information, of which Zeneku is able to listen to the jump pad instantly. And at this point, he's not going to take the rail yet. He's not going to take the rail yet, because at that point, Maxter didn't know where he was, but he knew where Maxter was. So don't give any information. As we now start off, the rail does connect, so a little bit of patience is going to be rewarded. God, I love that rail skin so much.
So ZenAku's doing a good job of keeping that height control. But he decided to drop down to see if there's any kind of information you can gather as to where Maxter could be. But Maxter's playing is very, very slow, which is not really his kind of style. But the LG did a lot of damage there for ZenAku. Sadly, he managed to get in, but will he be able to clean him up though? Will he get the next rail? Yes, he does. Good first frag for ZenAku. Very patient there, as he knew that he wanted to try and push in, maybe even try and take advantage of that. But already that first rail goes in the favour of Maxter. Maxter has backed away, but so has ZenAku as they fight for this next mega. ZenAku is picked out, takes another rail, takes a second. Will it be 3 for 3 for Maxter as he tries to find him? Yes, he manages to get it here, catch up. It's now Maxter's tied things up 1-1.
Zeneku does everything he can in that situation. He tries to take the health if possible. He wasn't going to be able to tank the rail, though. I think he had 73 HP. So at the very least, taking it away from Maxter, I guess. But Zeneku, this is all he gets on that missed rail. It's going to mean that Maxter goes down. Zeneku not taking any of the health, which means that getting that heavy has instantly given him momentum and a perfect opportunity to drop down towards Mega. Does get a bonus rail. He knows he can't beat you to Mega in time. Unfortunately, missing that rail is going to be a major punish there from Maxter. But the LG, at this point, was all it was going to be. He's going to have the railgun now, but he didn't have it before.
Ooh! ZenAku just taking advantage of the mobility of the Strog, but maybe gone a little bit too far as Maxter ties things up again. Picks up the heavy. Very, very healthy stack here. As Maxter now going to try and get that rail up the LG stairs. Doesn't get him, but it doesn't matter. The damage has been done. He's still got the stack to work with. He's going to try and cut him off at the rail. ZenAku predicted that, heard him come through, has decided to back away. And this is what I'm talking about. ZenAku is reactionary, but the problem is Maxter won't give you the chance to even make certain plays, and ZenAku just managed to get out of it before Maxter cut him off in that rail route. But ZenAku does have the height advantage, but it's taking that first rail, and Max is just going deep in, but 47 HP. He has to back away. He needs to try and re-heal. Got the heavy. That's going to help him out massively. He's going to try and get his health bubbles as he cleans him up. And beautiful rail there. Beautiful combo from Maxter as he's going to try and cut him off from the Mega. Doesn't, but at least does a little bit of damage before he goes away.
We've already had a rather insane back and forth. Decent amount of frags in only 3 minutes. Neither player trying to play that kind of slow game just yet. If there's a fight to be had, we go full speed ahead. And ZenAku, can he get the... Oh, not quite! Looking to steal that heavy away, but Maxter's able to have the last laugh there. But ZenAku does need to be careful. I like that he didn't just speed around that corner. Get the rail, sure, but if he comes around the corner and you only have a rail, it doesn't even matter if you hit the shot. He's going to kill you.
He certainly will indeed. Looking at the stats so far, damage very, very similar. Only 100 between the two. But the item control, again, only in slight favour of Maxter. But Maxter could definitely get something done here. Ignores the Pika, gets the frag on ZenAku. Only left on 8 HP. Picks up the heavy for his troubles. Now needs to try and back away and re-heal with those health bubbles. But he's going to see if he can at least try and pressure him on the Mega, but decided it's too much of a risk. Just re-heal, re-stabilize. He's got the free frag lead. And needs to be careful on what ZenAku's next move is.
Yeah, I mean, that's always going to be a bit of a frustrating frag to lose out on. You know, you hit that rail, you hit the shot, you hear the fact that Ranger just did that pre-death scream, so he's just pretty much advertising, hey, I'm weak, finish me off and swap to LG. Oh, they trade. They trade out good. Now, ZenAku does actually get pretty favorable spawn here. He has the armor, he has the rocket launcher, and he's in position for the Mega. The crowd side will let him get in and out, but he wants to stick around. He wants to take this fight, but he's taking so much damage in the process. What on earth happened there? Nobody went down. Both players dedicating, saying the one of us dies right now. But no one did. Funny that.
Almost. But even with the MG as well, it was great for him just due to the fact that he knew he could stand his grounds. He can take all the damage he wants with the LG and then pick up the Mega anyways. Huge risk, but he knew that the stack would be big enough for him to stand his ground, and he did, which was great stuff from him. But ZenAku is the one with a slight stack advantage. Only 2 frags behind, does have the peak if he needs it, but then again, Maxter does have the orb. Taking a huge chunk of damage there. Maxter needs to try and get away if he can, but he's not going to get away if ZenAku's going to rail like that. Good stuff from him as Max is putting so much pressure on so early on the spawn, but it all comes out. Oh, he commits suicide. That's probably the worst time for it, but still got 4.5 minutes left to make something happen.
Definitely felt like one of those situations where it was either going to be a -1 for you or a +1 for them. Point blank in a situation where Maxter was absolutely going to take that frag. ZenAku already trying to go for that tricky Pika stuff. You know, right around that corner, knowing Maxter's near rail, sending out the Pika first. I think he really wanted him to use the rail, right? Get the rail cooldown, in between the cooldown, get some free damage, establish dominance right there. But the dominance will belong to Maxter so far as he's 2 frags in the lead. Just picked up that heavy, and ZenAku, alarmingly, there's no armor. Oh, especially made worse on that. He's barely going to be all right off the back of that light armor that he picked up. Thankfully, there's bubbles all over the place. Can't stick around for too long, but there's plenty of pickups near rail side. It's a scary fight to take. Maxter hitting some really impressive rails, and ZenAku not having the weapons to get as much damage. But wait! How did he trade that? The fact that he even got a frag there is ridiculous. He was a done deal, surely.
That was ridiculous. And Maxter, you know, not in the best of spots, but he does have the stack advantage. He's going to try and clean him up with the last rail. Yes, he does. Extends his lead. Still got 3 minutes and 20 left on the clock. And it's going to be looking quite bad now for ZenAku. Look how segregated the items are. It's huge in comparison. So now Maxter can contest both items and keeping a high advantage as well, just to make matters worse for ZenAku. It's a matter of what he can do here. But Max has barely been missing any rails apart from that one. But saying that, ZenAku can get heavy. He's done a huge amount of damage. Max needs to try and get away here if he can, but Max has missed so many rails, which is unlike him. And now ZenAku's the one, after what I just mentioned with the item segregation, has now got a huge stack himself. So it's looking very good in ZenAku's favour. And one more thing to add, look at the rail percentages. ZenAku, 73% to Maxter's 50%.
And a considerable amount of shots actually being fired too. That's 73% rail. He's fired 15. That's not bad at all. But he needs a little bit more as Maxter 2 frags in the lead here. Just over 2 minutes here on the clock. ZenAku with the stacked to make something happen. But you need to show respect. Maxter, when he needs to hit those ranged rails to just put that dent in the stack you're working on, he tends to hit it. And surely ZenAku must know now at this point, Maxter is not taking these items because I think he's now starting to err on the side of caution. He's not making his presence known anymore. They do trade rails. That rail's not going to be, though. Oh, but he gets the rocket in the perfect moment. ZenAku picks up the heavy as well. This is his opportunity to start, and he gets a rail to begin. This could be where we equalize, Lethal.
I wouldn't be surprised at all in the slightest. Oh, as that happened as well. ZenAku, remember, he has the mobility to catch up. He's got plenty of time. He's got 1 minute and 40 left on the clock. As long as he keeps his items under his control and eat up all these lights, he should be perfectly fine. Depends on what Max's game plan is. He's got to be very careful where he stands. He seems to be not hesitating, but he holds certain areas of the map way too long. Longer than he should be, and then he gets taken down and taken off guard. Like, this is a great example here. Would he be able to clean up with the shotgun? No, yes, he does. Tied 8-all. Would not have expected this in the slightest, considering the situation ZenAku was in earlier.
I mean, ZenAku was going to be able to take that heavy at the very beginning. Maxter, the best he had really was a tri-bolt. He didn't have much, so he wasn't able to necessarily make his presence known right there, but afterwards, ZenAku pushing forward, knowing he's near rail side. Hang on a minute, he gets caught and over-dedicates Maxter. He's able to get the lead again at the last second. We have less than a minute on the clock, and this is a tense and/or sweaty game 1.
Yeah, sweat's an understatement, especially map number 1, series number 1 of the day. Yeah, we can't complain. As Maxter, 79 HP. What is he going to do? Is he going to try and hold this out until the final frag? I wouldn't be too surprised here. He's got 25 seconds left. He cannot fight back against someone like ZenAku with this huge stack. He's just looking around at the moment. He does have the orb in his back pocket, so if he does need to get away, he can do, but 12 seconds left. Well, ZenAku finds him as he manages to get the mega, which ain't going to help ZenAku too much, but it looks like he will be able to get away. He goes up on the jump pad to rail. He's literally almost on the opposite side of the map. ZenAku does find him, but it's just way too little, too late, as Maxter is the one who takes map number 1 in Molten Falls. And that was actually the map we kind of made the assumption that ZenAku should take it, considering his history on Molten Falls.
I mean, it was a close exchange too. I mean, I'm looking at these stats. The damage was quite even.
76% rail.
That's pretty impressive. But I mean, I'm looking at these stats near the end, and there was no considerable advantage over the items. ZenAku, funny enough, actually did manage to take a few more, and I think that came down to the closing moments where Maxter started to shift gears a little bit, become a little bit more defensive, a little bit more slow pace, allowing ZenAku to kind of take some of those items. I think having a lot of confidence in his own rail at this point, you're starting to hit so many shots where you get an item, and then bam, you get hit by 1 or 2 rails that you haven't returned, and that's it. You've lost all that work basically. But it came down to that final moment. I think just going in for a peeker at the wrong time, Maxter drops down, punishes you, and then some. And is able to inch out that map by 1 single frag. But I really felt like this was going to be a close exchange. And even if this turns out to be a 3-0, who knows? I think a 3-0 is still, I wouldn't expect it. However, I cannot see a dimension. I don't know if commentators curse it, but I do not see a reality where any of the maps are a stomp, because they just seem so evenly split at the moment.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Like Exile, both these players like this map. It's one of Maxter's favourites anyway, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But to edge him out on his own map, 9-8, it's going to be very difficult, but still 76%. I know it's only 17 rails, but the only difference with Maxter, he's shot just over double the amount, still had 54%. A lot of his rails was more clutch rails, which he managed to be successful with and get some of those frags. 76 is really good. It's not even against a large champion either. It's against a Rangers. So against a medium champion, that's still very, very good. Very solid from ZenAku. And I think he did play that well. You saw with his Strog, with his mobility, he was trying to flank in many, many ways, trying to abuse his, the power he had in terms of with a stack disadvantage, but he just couldn't get there in the end. And Maxter played it really safe, make sure he tried to secure that victory right at the very end. And it was weird because they played it very slow to begin with. We know some matches can be like that anyway, but it's not in Maxter's style to do that. And I think ZenAku was also a little bit put off, a little bit surprised there, where right at the very beginning when he was sitting on rockets, he was waiting for him to make the first move, but he wasn't. Maxter was still standing his ground, which is a little bit surprising. But XL, I think it's going to be very different in comparison from what we saw on the start of that first map.
It's a display of confidence. That's what I've always loved about watching Maxter. Ever since his first week in the Pro League, I think everyone would always say the same thing, where it's like, you'd never have guessed this guy came from challenges, in the sense that there was no finding his feet, there was no warming up. It was, I'm in Pro League, okay, I'm going to do my thing now and just play with confidence, play the aggressive style when needed. Sometimes not, but just playing clean and efficient Quake, which is something that when a player kind of comes into Pro League, there's definitely a little bit of, I think, teething problems you can sometimes see, but not so much now. But we're loading into Exile, and matchup-wise alone, you're going to have that mobility of Doomslayer, always important, especially as a map as, we'll say, hazardous, as we did last week, because we saw a couple of accidentally falling off happening. But the matchup is going to be a heavy versus a medium. So Doomslayer, all about that mobility, but this is a close quarters map, and you're having to deal with a saw lag. That is always going to be a scary combination, no matter how you look at it.
Well, we are going to start at ZenAku's POV. Even in week 6, we saw 10 plus ring outs, I think, something silly like that. Will it happen this week? I don't know, but things are possible. Miracles do happen, but we'll have to see. ZenAku already starting on board with him, only 20 seconds in, both trading the items. ZenAku still just finding his footing to find out exactly where he could be. He hasn't got a rail yet, which, not the biggest of problems as of yet. He's just trying to find out where he could be. He's found him, but knows he can't go from it as of yet. He's going to go around behind to see if he can at least clean him up. The shotgun got a great LG there, and he gets the Mega on top of that. Maybe even the rail, sorry, not the rail, the actual heavy side, but it doesn't matter. It gets picked up both the lights, gets the rail. Got the unholy trinity here, Ketchup, so he should be perfectly fine with that height advantage as well.
The perfect beginning. Maxter is able to fight fire with fire, though. Zeneku going for a rail right as Maxter chooses to dedicate to it. Those kind of rails, you often go for them because you're just so convinced they're not going to turn around and just come the opposite way. Gets decent damage, but Maxter has that last laugh. The super shotgun is going to be such an important weapon versus those heavy champions. And this will be a brawl again. I almost see all 3 maps going this way, because we have Deep Embrace up next. It's hard to see any other map that's not going to be just we trade. I take one, you take one, rinse, repeat for 10 minutes. Oh, and there's the acid. Maxter melted away. And Zeneku, the good call out. He's going to hold around near that light health. If you're going to try and stop the bleeding, you need to pick up a health item, which unfortunately makes your movement pretty predictable if you're on the defense.
Maxter's tracing is looking very good, especially with that LG. Back away for now. Hasn't got a rail yet, but we'll be going for it momentarily. Just wants to make sure that ZenAku isn't on his case, which he was. Finally gets to back away. Only on 10 HP. Good trade of rails there. Picks up the light, but he's still only on 10 HP. He's trying to re-heal as quick as he possibly can. But he's going to go for the telly and knows that that Mega will be up in the next few seconds. So it's a matter of which of these players will go for which item. Instead of both going for the Mega, ZenAku had more confidence there with his aim. Go for the Mega. Good rails from him. Third one there, just literally taking him apart. He's trying to back away as quickly as he can, but will he be able to, though? He's still trying to get away from his Berserk. Will he be able to clear up the LG? No, he doesn't. Regular shotgun comes out to play, and Maxter is the one who ties things up.
Another immense back and forth. Oh, there's the close exchange. Maxter, it's going to take one shot. Spam away. We got 60 bullets. Boom. That's going to be it. Only 10 damage, but who cares when you're that weak and tender. Zeneku, heavy is going to spawn now. Perfect timing. Oh, they both missed their rails. Zeneku does not want to drop down towards that armor. It's so attractive to pick it up, but you run the risk of putting yourself in a railable distance where it's just not going to be worth it. Now the acid spit is ready. Oh, he had the information to know that Maxter was over there, so he can pick up the armor, but he still took a rail for his troubles. There's another one. The armor keeps him alive, barely looking for the damage he can get, but Maxter will take him out once again. But fresh off spawn, Zeneku will at least get a couple of damage numbers.
He knows the heavies have been taken. He needs to try and go for lights if he can, but he's going to go straight in for it. We have to clean him up. No, he will not. ZenAku.
I'm surprised that punch actually landed.
Yes, it was me, actually.
It wasn't anywhere near him.
Looks like it was just out of range, but it still hit him. It will take it anyway, no matter what. ZenAku.
Sorlak's just got that long snout, dude. He's got that big face.
Oh, dearie me. Max today managed to pick up the heavy. Hasn't got the stack advantage, but he's going to back away and see if he can get these lights before ZenAku can do anything. But Maxter just holding his ground. letting them know that he ain't going to move away until this light reappears on spawn. But it looks like it's giving him plenty of time here. Must have only just recently been picked up, manages to get it finally, but didn't have the information he needs to find him, but knows he's directly underneath him. Managed to get the rockets. Hasn't really got much LG to work with here, but he should be fine anyway, considering how far away he is. He's just out of range anyway. But I like what Max is doing, just keeping that top mid control, trying to at least flank around him, which he has done. If he hit that rail, that could have been completely different story. He's expecting him to go for that light. Decides not to, has backed away, but he needs to the light himself in all fairness. But realises directly above him, can't really make a move. Hopefully he can catch him off guard. He will not. He'll actually absorb that rail. And ZenAku's going straight in for the kill. Almost got taken down there, but ZenAku, with the stack he had, manages to stay alive, gets the mega, gets the light, back to square one, and now he's going to challenge for this heavy, and instead back away and goes for the light instead. Perfectly understandable.
Now Zeneku did manage to soak up a whole bunch of items just then, going for a why not rail in that position. The 5-minute warning, we're halfway through this map. The area denial of the acid spit. A bit preemptive though, because now he's not going to have it for this next fight. If the fight even breaks out, there's the rail. First shot, second shot. Zeneku's looking to finish this one off. Maxter having to escape, but there's no escape to be had as there's a super shotgun and a fast saw lag coming right in. Right as the item spawn. Wait a minute, he's going to be able to get both of these items here. Maxter has to show up the respect, and he's had to concede both items. Full control and 2 frags in the lead. This was a pivotal moment for Zeneku.
Oh, this is very difficult. When the next mega does come up, he can contest the heavy, but he may not be able to get it. That's the only problem with the timer. It's only 3 or 4 seconds apart for both his items, but Max is just trying to clean him up here and still managed to take him down. Now he can get the mega, he can challenge for the heavy if he wants to. There's a possibility he may not get it, but at least he can throw some rockets down to at least clean him up. Will he be able to? That's the next question. Yes, he does, and Maxter on the verge of a comeback here. Was down 5-8, now he's only down 7-8. He's still looking very good. He's eating up all the lights as well, just making ZenAku's life a misery on this later portion of his second map.
No, he did get caught mid-double jump there with the wrong weapon out, so that was going to be damage he wasn't able to return. Zeneku only has... Oh! He only had the nail gun, the plasma. If he had a rail, that fight would have been an entirely different story, but I think that's why Maxter was confident to take it. He knows that the reverse rail chances were non-existent, so who really cares? If I can dodge his projectiles and damage him, I'm going to win this fight, equalize. Timing that light fantastically, but he has to be careful. Does not have a super shotgun to his name, and the Berserk will not let him escape. He tries to get out, but no success. Zeneku now, 1 frag in the lead, but there's plenty of this map left, Lethal. God, another map, another complete brawl. Oh, but there's the combo, 2-piece with fries.
I just can't believe it. Literally, both of these players are just not backing down. Like, it doesn't matter what situation they're in, if at a disadvantage. I've seen Maxter sometimes where he'll try and fight an engagement till right to the very end. He stands in there of the map way too long, and then he gets punished for it. We've seen him do it a few times over the last 2 maps, but yeah, neither of them are backing down. As soon as they're in an engagement, they just barely back off, and when they do back off, they're like on 10 HP, 8 HP, 5 HP, and it's just bizarre. Like, even now, like, this would be his time to back away. He left it a little bit too late. I can understand he's contesting the heavy, but
no,
might be a little bit too much, and he was almost railable there. So Max just needs to be careful and try not to fight too much, because he is railable, and he's still trying to hit him. He's only 1 frag down. He's playing like he's 4 frags down and needs to try and get another frag to his name, but just ridiculous stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love all these engagement, all these bouts they're taking between each other. 23 HP, ZenAku needs to reheal, but they need to be a bit more cautious on what fights they take here. It's great if you're at an advantage, but sometimes if you overstay your welcome, it's just a bit, you know, just a little bit too much for them.
I was really nervous. So not the last frag to happen, the one before, that almost happened, I guess, is more accurate. The fact that Maxter hit that rail, popped Berserk straight away. I was watching it through his point of view, and if Zeneku went round that corner, he was getting punched in the face. It's a good thing that he decided to hold back just a little bit. Zeneku, can he get some bonus damage before inevitably falling? A little bit, but nothing to write home about. Gets the perfect call, and there's no way, Zeneku! The second you jump down there, and the opponent has an LG, perfect weapon choice there from Maxter, and he pushes you down into oblivion. That's now going to be 10 frags apiece. Absolutely, this is an important closing moment, right? The 1-0 for Maxter currently. If Maxter comes off better in this minute and 10 seconds, which he's working on, it will be 2-0. But are we going to go into a final map decider? That is the question. Ooh, so close to getting a wonderful prediction rocket. That would have been a death sentence. Zeneku gets caught on the drop down and Maxter takes the lead. Harry, this is such a good map for Maxter again, but it's not over.
Oh no, it's not over by all means. 45 seconds left. We can easily see another 2 frags for both these players. Maxter does have the stack advantage, but this map has just been ridiculous. Like I said, they're just both going all out. It's like they're acting as though they're 4 or 5 frags behind and they're desperate to add some more frags to their name. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But am I complaining? Absolutely not. This is what I like to see. A nice chaotic massacre between both these players, but still 20 seconds left. ZenAku needs to choose his engagement correctly. That's not the right one, though.
Oh, that's a GG.
It is. He's just stood his ground with the LG. He knew eventually ZenAku was going to push in. Maxter had to stand his ground at some point, some way, and he has done. 10 seconds left. ZenAku doesn't have the time to get these 2 frags, but GG from both these players. What a phenomenal second map. What a phenomenal series, actually, just to start the day overall.
And you can see there on the player cam, satisfaction and a little bit of relief coming out. The 2-0 at least is guaranteed. But remember, ooh, looking at that damage, Maxter hit so much. No, it's the nature of versus a heavy anyway, but significant amount compared to. But yeah, this is that kind of situation where you know the 2-0's in the bag, you've got the series win. That is the beginning of things, right? Because a 3-0 is great, but the series win is still important. However, man, how can we break down a map like that? When it comes to Maxter and we watch him play, it is composure no matter the situation, no matter the condition. And that's what I love about watching Maxter, is that no matter how far into the map we are, he always kind of just has this mind into the next frag where he's just so happy to brawl with you. You know what I mean? And Zeneku was in the lead for a big chunk of it. But Maxter always kind of trickling behind, right? He's always just there on the sideline, ready to snatch it away. And this was really where everything went wrong. You know, catching him on the drop down, that is such a dangerous place to get caught. And it's no wonder he had the LG out ready to rock, because it's, you know, there's one thing Exile does a good job of, I think, Lethal. It's teaching you the importance of Lightning Gun. Because if you have anyone down there, no matter the game mode, get the Lightning Gun out and you're probably going to get a frag if they get caught jumping down. Because there's no way they're going to stop that pushback. And unfortunately for Zeneku, no matter how much starting stack you spawn with, it's going to get nullified by a ring out. And that was the end of it.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. And you could see Maxter was very, very tempted to do it for a second time in a row. Like, when he got the next frag after the one you talk about, the ring out, he was going to go for it again. And he was like, no, you know what? I've already done it once already. I'm not going to risk it and do it again. But I still find it's a very, very strange game. I felt like both the players kind of overextended sometimes. And if you're purposely trying to push yourself into a close range fight against Maxter, you know, you're asking for trouble, because his combat skills is what makes him excel in this entire, you know, in the Quake Pro League overall. And if you're constantly fighting against him close range all the time, you know, you're basically saying, you're not saying like, okay, here's a frag or anything like that. You're just playing to his strengths. And if you're going to keep doing that, then, you know, accidents are going to happen, and you saw it there and then. And it was nice, because normally when you do pressure them on spawn, when they spawn near that rail kind of area, normally there's a few rockets. Normally they wait for them to maybe dive down for the rail or go around the other side, and normally your opponent's got height advantage with that rail. But to see him actually use the LG to take him down was great stuff. You know, it just shows that Maxter, not only has he got good combat skills, he's also got good weapon selection at the right moments at the right time. He plans these things a few seconds ahead. He's got good instincts on what he should be doing every so often. He may not be 5 steps ahead, but with his 1 or 2 steps ahead on spawn, he seems to be able to, you know, pull out all the stops. He seems to be a very, very, very good player and phenomenal in those kind of aspects. But he's got to be very careful in those close range battles. You can't fight to your opponent's strengths. And if you do, at least have the stack to go against it. But we'll have to see now with Deep Embrace. And with Maxter with a kill, it's going to be a little bit difficult, especially contesting that heavy, depending on how early Maxter it is going to be. But with ZenAku's POV, and see what's going to happen in this 3rd and final map of the first series.
This is a battle of the big bodies, heavy hitters. Zeneku on the scale bearer, love to see it. But Keel, a champion that we are starting to see really come into his element on Deep Embrace. And I'd actually go as far to say a champion that's coming into his element more and more in Duel in general. There was a time where he was rarely picked, and now becoming quite common on a selection of maps. Zeneku keeping the control as they trade item for item. Dead even split, and Zeneku. Oh, that was so cute! Zeneku, I like that play. No, but he dies anyway. Man did a full 180 building up the speed to get the damage, to get the gauntlet, to do as much as he can into a bull rush, and it still wasn't enough to get the frag. Maxter coming out on top, but ugh, what a first frag that was.
As if that even happened. That is ridiculous. I didn't expect that counteract from Maxter at all. But again, like I said, playing to his strengths. If you're going to get in his face, there's a possibility, a strong one at that, but you're going to pay the price. But now Maxter is playing this very passive, pretending to rocket jump up. Fooled ZenAku possibly, but didn't get the rail off. So wasn't worth it, but at the same time, he's got height advantage for it. But these rails are looking beautiful for Maxter. He's going to try and get another one if he can, but not if he's going to stampede straight into him. ZenAku's the one who's going to tie the lead, find out where he could be going next, but knows Maxter's still directly beneath him, and heavy will not be contested.
A decent little opening chunk of damage coming out for the rails once more. And now I like this choice. Soak up and deny as many of these little items as possible. Almost manages to get a rail off as well, but as there is such a delay between the items, I like what Zeneku's doing here. It was damage Maxter where he can't really make his presence known, and then during that time, soak up as much of the map as you can so that it's taken away. However, the rails are still good. They both miss. Oh, whoa! Both players still in big trouble. However, the bull rush, it's going to run out, but it's enough. Enough to close the gap. And now the Mega. Maxter will show it respect. I like that. Doesn't have a lot to answer back, though, so Max has to be very careful. He's taken the Mega away from ZenAku, which is stage 1, but it's not enough. Another frag goes here for ZenAku. Man, this is a really fun map again, and all 3 maps, Lethal, have gone this way. It's just been a complete frag fest.
Yeah, we have to thank Sync for that, of course. 2 phenomenal maps in a phenomenal series. I literally almost had a cardiac arrest, and I thought he was going to fall off at one stage, but ZenAku still continuing to extend his lead. But look what's changed in his style now. He's keeping that kind of medium to long range bounce with Maxter. He's realised some of the mistakes he made in that last match. He realised he took too many close range fights, and now he's just keeping his distance. Even if it's being directly underneath him or just keeping him at bay, just keeping at range. He's just doing a great job. He's realised so quickly what mistakes he needed to rectify. So got to be extra cautious with his pineapple zone. Both these players have had phenomenal rounds throughout the entire course of the series, but ZenAku is readable. He's going to risk going for the health orb. Seems perfectly fine, but he's going to try and go for the Mega. Will he be able to get it? Yes, he does, but he got rocked for his troubles. He didn't even get it in the end.
Though. The perfect spawn. Look at how many weapons he got, Harry. He got the LG. He got the rocket. Ow. He ate a rail.
It's his birthday come early, but it's definitely not after that. Oh, that was beautiful. Again, another great rail from Maxter, and the pineapple just to make matters worse. It's going to go bottom mid. ZenAku was going to go for the trade frag. He knew he was going to go for those 2 health orbs. And again, another great rail from Maxter on the spawn. He's going to circle around to see if he will contest the Mega. Looks like he won't be. And now he's going to get that top mid control. Still has time to go for this heavy. It is up in the next few seconds, but which way is he going to go? Looks like he's going to stand his ground. He's going to rocket jump up. Maxter realizes that ZenAku's pushed away, knowing that he's probably going to attempt to go for it. Again, another great rail, and ZenAku's so weak, it just needs to try and push in if you can to finish him off. And Maxter is just doing so much work with this rail. Again, another spawn, another pineapple, another rocket. What are you about to clean them up here? Yes, he does. And just like that, within 60 seconds, Maxter has come back and has got the lead.
Lovely positioning mid-fight there for Maxter as well, knowing the bull rush is coming and just trying to put himself in a situation where you have to pull this really hard turn, and even if you do manage to hit him or whatever, you're now right up against a wall, and there's nothing you can do to stop the splash from being insane damage. Nice optimization there from Maxter, who is, again, narrowly in the lead, but it's a lead all the same, and is he going to be able to inch out yet another map? We'll see. The opening rocket. Oh, the click! The click that no one wants to hear. Now, this could be an opportunity for Maxter. Can he get the frag? The Mega's just been taken. ZenAku. He's able to escape because there is no rail. I mean, that click is what really, I think, kept ZenAku alive in that fight.
But then again, those rockets, he predicted those so well. He did so much damage with him. Even after the Mega, he had to try and stand his ground. 2 missed rails here. Maxter needs to back away if he can. ZenAku's got away from himself. He still has a slight stack advantage, but this Mega's come up any second now. This is ZenAku's time to push him, but he's direct. And he's railable. Not anymore after picking up that 50 from bottom mid. Again, he's railed. Will he hit the second one? Yes, he does. Great stuff from Maxter to extend his lead. He predicted correctly that ZenAku is going to go around the rail side, but it doesn't matter. Oh, just barely misses the jump. Going up for that heavy. ZenAku, again, in a very healthy position, but not after what just happened then. ZenAku stampeded into the bottom mid area, predicting Maxter to go down, which he rightly did. As ZenAku needs to try and catch up now. He's definitely got all the weapons in his arsenal to make something happen. Picked up the Mega. Oh, he almost fell off there. He can still get a ring out if he wants to, but no. As you can see, ZenAku, another rail to his name, another frag to his name as well, and has tied things at 7-7 here, Ketchup.
This is just aggression. Neither player wants to give up too much control, right? And there is definitely a part of that being the nature that it's two heavies. They spawn with a giant stack. They can pick up a weapon. They can go right back in and brawl it out. But that's the LG just for a bit of that bonus damage. Maxter. The Mega has been taken, so that's going to be good timing at the very least. Uh-oh. Here comes the bull rush. Nothing scarier than being pasteable damage away and hearing the heavy footsteps of a scale bearer, and you know that he's nearby. Oh, a rail coming out. Maxter having to be kind of careful here as Zeneku on the warpath a little bit. Mega's the next objective, and there's a giant split between these two items. So an opportunity for Zeneku. If he gets a frag here, that's going to be Mega. And Maxter, too weak to really challenge it. And a long time until armor comes back. And speaking of the light armor being denied, Maxter is going to have to be as sneaky as possible, but he's not going to be able to take this heavy, trying to get a bonus rail just to shut down the usefulness of it, but he can't. Maxter, he's wasting some time, but it's not enough. The two frags in the lead.
But look at this, again, ZenAku, just the last few minutes, just keeping his distance, and that's exactly what you should be doing against a player like Maxter or Nosfer or Effortless. You know, these kind of players, you have to keep your distance because they're so good with their close range bouts, but you don't want to risk so much for so little. And ZenAku's just doing exactly that, just keeping medium range, just making sure that it's close enough for LG, but at the same time, Maxter just can't slide in and clean up the frag. And he's been doing it for the last couple of minutes. And if ZenAku plays exactly this kind of style against Maxter, he should walk away with it, or maybe even extend his lead. It just depends now. And you can see he's doing it constantly, keeping that medium range, keeping that distance the entire time. Even if he loses this fight, he's just got to be very cautious. He's going in for the 50, but even then, the pineapple is what finishes him off. 34 HP, but like I said, if ZenAku continues to play like this, he should be able to trade frag each and every time, just like that. And now he'll be able to get the heavy for his trouble. So ZenAku, I'm very impressed by the style changes he's made and what he's doing to try and excel at the end of the series.
And at this point, Zeneku, I'd be surprised if he ever kind of changes up the game plan. He's doing such a good job of just starving away all of these different items, and it is that damage mitigation. Speaking of, wait a minute, Maxter. This is his chance. He gets rail off the spawn as well, looking for the defensive shot. Zeneku going right into the belly of the beast, honestly, but he manages to get away with his life. Hits a lovely rail, but he's not going to survive anyway! The bull rush is there, but that was less about damage reduction, and that was more just, I need to get this frag. Unfortunately, it gave Maxter the chance to equalize. Another game where we just trade, and more trade, and 30 seconds on the clock for Zeneku, who is in big trouble now! He's so weak! Is Maxter going to steal this away at the last minute? I think so!
No! I can't believe he just managed to do that with 25 seconds left. What a great rail there from Maxter. He could extend his lead with the direct, but ZenAku, he needs to push in. He needs to make something happen. He's way too far away. He's just trying to get the rockets and then try and push in, but that missed rail will give ZenAku an opportunity, but it's been actually managed to get taken out in the end. It's a ring out. It's tied up here, catch up. But then again, Maxter's got the Mega. It is going to go to sudden death in this first series of the day, and it's the final map. And now both his players have calmed down a little bit here. But Maxter does have... surely he'll be able to get this frag with the LG. Yes, he does. He had the stack to back it up. Maxter is the one who takes the series. And I just... You know when you can see things before it happens and he was like close to the edge and you knew he had the bull rush? I just knew it was going to happen. I was like, oh, I can see it now. He's going to get bull rushed off the map and then it's going to be tied up. And that is exactly what happened. That was a An unbelievable series to start the day, Ketchup.
I mean, look, I think that's one of those moments where right as the ball rush is about to connect, you kind of freeze the frame and go dun 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 dun. But I feel like I owe Maxter an apology because he was able to get that convincing victory today, just playing as incredibly as he did all series long. He had to work hard for it. To give Zeneku his credit, it was simply by 1 or 2 frags every time, and it was the closing moments always being the deciding factor, and the dedication to the next frag, pushing in to the point where at the end, ooh, even went for a bonus rail near the end. I've never seen someone get sent so far there, but Maxter, again, by 1 frag, was able to come out on top. But, oh, what a series that was. That was a heavy hitter of a first set of the day, and fitting to set up the rest of the action to come, I think. Well done to Maxter.
Yeah, definitely. 1,550 more damage. Definitely showed a lot more map presence. And ZenAku, look all the lights he ate up just to give Maxter so much trouble trying to re-heal from some of those engagements. But yeah, it was just ridiculous. Like, you saw that coming from a mile off. But then again, ZenAku did react to it, but it was just a little bit, a little bit too late for him in the end. So not ZenAku for Maxter. So it was a bit of a shame, but just one of those things anyway. I think ZenAku will be kicking himself a little bit. I hope I haven't jinxed him, because I said to him it's the best stage he's done since he started the Quake Pro League. He loses to Maxter. But then again, Maxter has proved himself that, he deserved that series victory. Every single frag he had, he just played a massive part to what he wanted to do in terms of his game plan. But if ZenAku stick to the style he was playing, he would have been fine. There was just a couple of times where he just overextended and played into Maxter's hands, and that was literally about it. As soon as I saw him doing that with the ball rush a couple of times, that's when I knew there, could be a little bit of trouble. But, well played to Maxter. Great way to start off the day with that first series.
Right, so the first series is wrapped up, and as we go into our next matchup, which is going to be Dewey versus Nosfer, another one into the Americas territory, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Series 2 of the day will continue. So get involved in social media, hashtag Quake Pro League, let us know who your favourite players are and the matches you're looking forward to the most of the day. I know we have those chunky featured matchups, but that is a few hours away from now. We have plenty more Quake where that came from.